So today is a very interesting topic we're treating. So I want us to just sit back and then see how it's benefiting the nation, how we can add these abundant wells that are supposed to be environmental traits. It turns out to be for our good. Thank you. And I want you to just sit back as we invite him to come and introduce the guest speaker for today. So Ibrahim.
Can we please at least clap for the chapter coordinator? Yeah. In that way, she feels encouraged, right? And we know that there are humans in here. I'm always excited to be here. Any kind of our technical sessions. You know why? Because I go home loaded. I just like the way we eat food and you get satisfied here. My intellectual capacity is being increased, and I guess that's why we're here. All right, not too much noise. Our chapter coordinator have done justice, and I'm here basically to do one thing, to read the biographical profile of our presenter today, our guest speaker. He's a friend. I've seen him before, so I'm excited. All right. Ekenedilichukwu. So you have to forgive me once again for ventilating your name, all right? Ekenedilichukwu, right? All right, good. Has a BSc degree in physics/geology. And he also has an MSc in applied geophysics, both from the University of Nigeria in Nsukka, the popular Nsukka. He started his career as a borehole geophysics intern in 2002 with Gipcam Consult Nigeria Limited, Maiduguri. He's familiar with the up north here. And he briefly worked with Diamond Bank as an international payments representative within the Treasury unit before joining Degeconek as a geoscientist in 2010. He currently works in the Asset Evaluation Department as a seismic interpreter, specializing in reservoir characterization, generating property maps, and seismic attributes. He was also an integral member of the team that worked on marginal fields for former Department of Petroleum Resources, DPR, for those who are familiar, now NURP, on the 2020 marginal field bid rounds. He is also actively involved in hydrocarbon assets project management and has been managing and providing advisory to several lending institutions and investors. He is an active member of NAPI and AAP. Raise up, get your jotters and notes. I'm going to do the same while he takes us through to this topic, which I'm excited already. Please, welcome our guest speaker for today.
My name is Ekenedilichukwu, and Degeconek is thanking NAPI Abuja chapter for the opportunity to make this presentation. The topic of my presentation is project, please. first of geologic structure. They go to the plank of the structure, like you can see here, see the well, look at the plank of the structure. To enable them have a view of the size of the accumulation. So it enables them to understand the economic dimension of that field. So if you understand the economic dimension of that field, you take a decision whether to quickly plug and abandon it or control the development. So when you have this kind of field that does not meet the economic threshold that they are to abandon, you don't have pockets of it that NUPRC, when they are attended to that NUPRC will not call marginal field. So those fields become fantastic opportunity for an independent producer who go there and then revamp, and then start developing some kind of fields. Now, such a well that they have built here has defined the economic dimension of that field. So if they decide to abandon it because it didn't meet the economic threshold, so the Nigerian producer can come in and take out the opportunity, develop it, and start producing from some kind of field. So the abandonment is aimed at preventing any impact from the well on the environment. It tends to protect the environment from upwellings from that well. So the environment is only properly protected from being damaged from upwellings. Now, the process ensures proper isolation of penetrated aquifers and oil gas bearing reservoirs. So those oil gas bearing reservoirs, are isolated properly. So there won't be any emission. For instance, your methane gases that will be emitted from some kind of wells and begin to affect your greenhouse gases that will damage the environment. So the environment is meant to isolate them and protect the environment properly from some kind of emission. Now, a well is suspended with the intention to come back if certain conditions are right. Before they suspend the well, certain conditions make them to suspend it. And what are the conditions? It will be economic. For instance, if you have low oil price, a company might decide to suspend their well because they will begin to run negative economics. So they will come back later when oil prices rebound so that they begin to make profit again. So in that case, they will suspend their well. Now, it could be infrastructural. Like when you want to drill the exploration well, maybe they have oil in mind. And then when the well is being drilled, you can see that several levels are gas bearing, and they don't have infrastructure in place to take care of the gas. So the next thing to do that, they will suspend it pending when they have those facilities to handle the gas, in that field. Next one is the technical challenges. If as the time you are drilling the well, the PHA, Gosford or Gosford, they might try to fish it out or make their completions begin to have issues. They might start to suspend it, go back to drawing board and find out why they keep on having challenges, in the operation. So whenever they're able to find solution to that, you will come back and continue their operation. Another thing is budget to finance. They may run into problem, in the finance of their operation. For instance, like last week I will have a flood in Bayelsa. You could see that there could be sudden flood that they never expected to happen in that area. That everywhere was flooded and they need to elevate some of their facilities, put them in an elevated platform, which is not within their budget at the time they were planning, to do such kind of wells. So you see that it has eaten deep into their budget. So because of that, they need to look for more funds. So in looking now for more funds, what they will do is that they will now supplement the welfare. When they get the funds, they will now come and continue. Next one is community issues. If a community is up in arms and keep vandalizing facilities of a producer, when you don't vandalize the place, at a point, you'll be running negative economics. You don't have any option than to suspend the operations, pending when security returns to a situation whereby the operations can continue. So because of that, you can try to protect well, till security returns to a level you can manage and continue the operations. Now, this is the image of a suspended well and a non-abandoned well. Now, this image is trying to show the difference between suspended and a non-abandoned well. If you look at the suspended well, you will see that your installations, like your wellhead, they are still in place. But for the non-abandoned wells, they still put cement inside and then still it up so that there won't be any emission from it that will damage this environment. Now, well abandonment procedure. Before you can revamp any well, you need to understand how that well was abandoned. So if you understand how it was abandoned, it will enable you find solution approach to revamping them to make them to become producing once more. Now, before you can even abandon any well, you need to understand the operating law, concerning abandonment. We need that jurisdiction where that well was drilled. For instance, in Nigeria, our own law that governs the oil and gas industry is the PIA. And then the PIA section 233, subsection 5 to 7 says that before you can abandon any well, you need to do a written notice to the commission, informing them of your intention to abandon your well. And then you need to apply the cost to take you to abandon that kind of well. And then you outline steps you're going to take to abandon the well. And apart from outlining the steps, you need to describe them in details. So there won't be any ambiguity in the whole process. Now, if you are doing a partial abandonment, of which there are some residuals you are leaving on the environment, you'll be held liable if there's any effect caused by those residuals you are leaving on the surface, on the environment. So you'll be held liable. And they also say that you need to do environmental impact assessment of your decommission and abandonment, so that you can be able to find solution to it, really after you finish your decommission and abandonment. And they also say that all installations and structures on land can be completely removed. So you need to remove all structures you left on land and reclaim the environment back to its original state before you even started your oil and gas activity at the issue. Now that we have understood the government law for abandonment, now let's also go into the government. Well operation by selecting all fluids out of the well, and then they will pump in heavier fluid like more, that contains about pressure to make sure that no fluid will find its way into the well bore. Then the next thing they'll do is that they will replace the Christmas tree with blow preventer. Next is that they will squeeze cement into those preparations to make sure that no fluid still finds its way into the well bore. When they do that, they will now put infilling liquids like your drinking water and bentonite. They form as a sealant. So in case the patient fails, they still have the sealant inside that formation. Now, next thing that they will install and test your cement plugs. They put cement plugs, across those formations that they've already separated or producing zones, and then all aquifers, they put cement plugs, on them. And then when they do that, next thing that the production casing, they now cut it. If they cut it, they put a cement on top of that casing store that they have cut. So they make sure that no fluid will escape from that well. When you do that, the next thing that the production casing is cut and removed, they put the top of the cement and put position above the cement store, then the casing has never. When they put the plug on top of that casing store, they now cut it below the subsurface. So when they cut it below the subsurface, they now include the environment and cover it so that even if you go there in future, you will notice that there was oil and gas activity that took place in the past because the vegetation cover has restored to its original position. So the step by step is at display. You will see your typical configuration, your wellhead, your casing, your tubing, then your perforations. The next is that your tubing pattern and then the tubing pattern and the tree, they look at the Christmas tree, they are removed, and then they put your first and second cement plug. The next thing they will do is that they put your third plug and they remove the wellhead and production casing. And they also put the fourth plug. When they do that, they will now the surface intermediate casing, they cut it and then cover the casing so that when you go there, you won't see anything. So this is typical oil and gas well that's ready for environment. And then this is the environment. So immediately you get there, you won't even notice anything. You can play ball in that place. So that is maybe one approach of a company that decided to abandon their wells. Now, other companies have their own approach, which I'm going to describe. Now, they will still go through the same process of, circulating all the fluids out of the well, then removing your Christmas tree, then squeezing cement to the preparation, up to the extent of putting your cement plug across those reservoirs to make sure that no other fluid escapes from that place. Now, when they get there, they still cutting doing sort of it. Put a cement structure so that when you get there, we'll be able to spot that, oh, oil and gas activity took place here in the past. In that place, and then they will now restore the environment to its original state as it was before they started oil and gas activity. So this is a statement of this kind of environment where they took a statement on top of that place and then they restore the environment back to its original state. So that anytime you go there, this is where the well was severed and then abandoned. Now, this is another one, an area view of some kind of station. You see the concrete on top of it, and then when you remove the concrete, you see your casing exposed, below the surface. So easily when you get to the field, you can easily spot, where the well was abandoned. Now, for small abandonment, they still use the same process of putting your cement block in place, not those intervals. But additionally, instead of cutting the casing below the surface, they still leave it, projecting the face surface so that whenever you go there, it's cutting. But additionally, they also put cement on those cases and then cap it with a blind flange so that nothing can escape. So whenever you get to the field, you see the casing standing. So this is a typical kind of personal environment. When you get there, you will see it standing. Now, for offshore environment, they still repeat the same process of killing the well, getting up to the extent of putting your cement blocks in place. But additionally, what they do is that they will not go to the do the mud line, and then when they cut to go the mud line, they will now retrieve those excess casings. So at the end, you won't see anything at the seabed. Though some companies, what they do is that they will cut it, but leave small casing, protruding above the seabed, so that even if you send divers to see it or remote operated vehicle, that's ROV, you can see this one, ROV went there and it's flashing light on small portion of the casing left on the seabed. So all the installations on the sea, they are removed to avoid colliding with it. All those navigable objects like boats, ship. So accidents or hazards are avoided offshore. Now, for offshore submerged wells, what they do is that they still leave the casing projecting above the water surface, but they leave a solar powered light that will warn any advancing boat or ship that there is a suspended well in that place. So as they're coming, you already see the warning light. So most of them, what they do is that they plot it in their map so that even before they start their journey, they already know potential hazard places that their ship or boat will collide with all those objects. So they try in advance to even avoid it for family. So they already put it in all their maps, most of those navigable objects, when they see it offshore. Now, having understood how wells are abandoned, any operator usually have two options facing him or her. The first one is to drill a fresh well. And then in drilling a fresh well, you might run some risk like geologic failure, where you think that particular accumulation is extended, but you know that it is limited in natural extent by maybe a geologic feature like a stratigraphic barrier. So when you now drill, you miss that particular structure. So you will run into that kind of risk. There can also be drilling and completion failure. And then you can also run into financial problem while trying to drill a fresh well. And you know that all these things are guided by cost, budget, or you do your cost through benefit analysis. By the time you now do that, you now decide which one is cheaper. And then you now discover that the re-entering and revamping an existing well is always a cheaper option. So when you now decide to re-enter and revamp an existing well, what would then be, how do you go about the revamping process? So let's talk about the revamping steps. Now, the essence of re-entry and revamping a well is just to create access to release reservoirs and then do other operations that will enable you, enter into production. And what are the operations? The first one is to drill out the cement blocks and then remove the breach blocks and then clean the well bore and then check the integrity of the casing. Then check the cementing integrity. then check for the hydrocarbon levels and type through saturation law, and then finally, if deviated, you reconfirm the deviation data. So I will go into details in subsequent slides. So the first thing when you now decide to re-enter is to visit the location. When the field, was awarded to the particular operator, there are some documents they give you. Not documents, you see some well files that contain the coordinates of the wells. So you carry the coordinates with your handheld GPS, go to the location to see it. When you get to the location, you take record of the accessibility. You need to know if there is a thoroughfare to this place, or when you want to start operation, you need to do an access route. So you need to take record of it, that initial time you see that field. Next one is the vegetation cover. You need to record the vegetation cover, because by the time you finish your whole operation in many, many years, you need to reclaim the environment as I told you earlier in the law, back to its original state. So when you visit initially, you need to take record of the accessibility and vegetation. Now, what's the next thing I'm going to do? The first thing that comes to mind is that, possibly they cut it below the surface. If you're not, you will see evidence of crushed cellar pits in that area. That will then be okay, this is where the well was there. But in case you don't see evidence of that kind of thing, what will you do? What's the next thing I'm going to do? So the next thing I'm going to do is that you carry a handheld magnetometer. You can cut like 100 meters by 100. It's like 10 lines on it, straight lines on them. And then mark station points on each of those lines. So the station points, you have to reference them. They can be 10 meters apart, with 10 lines, forming like 100 points in all. So you carry your handheld magnetometer, get to each point and take readings. When you now finish taking your readings, you download them, process them, and your cases respond to magnetic flux anomaly. So anywhere you see that magnetic flux anomaly, you now know that is the spot the well was severed or cut below the surface. Your GPS of those days, you can't really trust it. Unlike the modern GPS, which are differential GPS that can measure points on the surface of the earth in millimeters or centimeters. So you can't trust the coordinates that they took those days, to the coordinates that you record in modern times with the modern GPS. So that's why you need to do magnetic survey to see if you can see an anomaly that will point that, okay, this is the exact spot where the well was actually drilled. Now, assuming that the grids were crossed, that maybe the first anomaly is not so sharp, then what is that point you now see that particular anomaly showing its head, rearing its head. You now cut a narrow grid around that area. So instead of your 10 meters apart on each of these points, you can even make them 5 meters apart and close your grids up. So you won't need to spread like 100 meters or 100 meters. You just around that area to pinpoint the exact spot. So by the time you now repeat your survey again, you see the anomaly, corner sharply at that spot. So that will now show you that is the spot where the well was severed. Now, when you now spot it, what's the next thing? Now, in swamp, it's possible that that area has silted up, and then the vegetation cover, has restored, and then you have your areas like bushy, being bushy. Now, when you get there, as I told you earlier, you are going to spot the cases standing. But I've not heard the situation once they cut it. But even if they cut it below the surface, you will repeat the same process of doing magnetic survey. And when you do a magnetic survey, you see the anomaly, at that point. And then use your swamp excavator to excavate and see that well. Now, for offshore, shallow water, some operators, they don't bother about looking for the wellhead because it's a lot of advanced technology in trying to extend the casing to a usable position. And it is there's 50% chance of successfully extending that casing head. And it's also capital intensive. So some operators don't even bother, looking for that particular severed wellhead. So now that you've spotted that position where the well was caught and buried below the surface, the next thing that you are going to design a well re-entry program. So you're not prepared before you now start the re-entry program. All departments are involved, like your G&G, your drilling engineers, the computer engineers, and even the economists, but each department or each unit will outline their steps and then assign timeline to each of them. So the economists will now assign cost to each of them. So I can even compare it to the cost of drilling a fresh well. But I can assure you that it's going to be lower or cheaper than drilling a fresh well. So you design a well revamping program and then look for your drilling report to know even what happened when you were drilling that well. And then you look for record of the well schematics and abandonment diagram. The reason why I'm looking for your well schematics and abandonment diagram is to know the case sections and sizes of casings. Those case sections and sizes of casings will enable you to know which type of drill bit are you going to bring to drill all those cements. So if you know the size of casing you use, you now know the kind of drill bit that the drilling company will come with to be able to drill the cement blocks. The next thing that you check the position of the casing collar and shoes. You need to know at what position is off you have your casing collar and shoes, because you don't want to begin to perforate while you have your casing collar and shoes. Now, the number and depth intervals of cement blocks are also recorded, because you need to know how many cement blocks they put in place, so that the driller, while going into the surface, to know that I need to drill like 4 or 5 cement blocks or 3 cement blocks, and what are their thicknesses and at what depth can we find it. So now know that, it's going to drill like 4 feet of cement block first, and now 5 feet of cement block. So you need to know the number and depth intervals of those cement blocks in place in the subsurface. Now, the last one is the reason for abandonment. So you need to know, is it because of economic reasons? If economic reasons, of course, you go and re-enter, because what doesn't meet the economic threshold of a big company like an IOC will meet the economic threshold of a marginal field operator. So if there's economic reason, you don't even need to pay, just go ahead and re-enter. So these are the typical well schematics with your Christmas tree, the casings, the tubings, and then the perforation intervals. And then this is a zoom version of it with your conductor casing, your surface casing, then your rotor liner, and then you go into the well bore, the tubings. Now, this is typical well abandonment diagram, where you can see your mud line where the casing was cut below the surface. You have the number of cement blocks. This one, they put 3 cement blocks with your bridge blocks. And you can see at which point you have your production zone in the abandonment diagram. So when you have understood the schematics, how it was abandoned, and then at what interval you have of cement blocks, next thing that you now go and do access road. If there's no access road in that place, you deploy your bulldozer to do access road that will take you to that location. When you now do the access road, you start preparing that location prior to re-entry. The next is that you now build an off-site operational place for movement of personnel, materials, and equipment. You need to build an operational place so that when you bring materials, you can warehouse them and then there, and then begin to take them to the field, gradually on need-to basis. Even your personnel, at the end of the day, they retire into this operational place to rest. Then there comes the excavation proper to go and locate the wellhead. So you now excavate, and the moment you spot the well, you use your handheld GPS and then station in there and measure and take record of the well coordinates. That is your current well coordinates with your modern GPS. You take note of it. So that's what you now be using and then using in your record. So when you now take that record, the excavator will now dig more to expose the casing, to the surface. So you'll be able to see it properly, to a reasonable extent. The next is that you now start reconstructing your cellar pit prior to your re-entry operation to develop that kind of well. When you have done that, the next thing is that you start preparing for the re-entry operation. You first of all cut it open, clean it, so you can be able to see your conductor pipe and then the intermediate casing and the emulsion casing, expose them, and possibly you can even cut them to staggered heights to expose them, so that you can be able to extend them to the surface. Now, to extend those casings, the 3 concentric casings, there are different approaches that could be adopted. Like a particular company can decide to adopt this approach. You first of all patch your production casing to surface, bring another one, patch another one on top of that one, and extend it to the surface. The next thing they do that, the other intermediate one at the middle, they weld it to the surface the same height. And then the outermost one, which is the conductor casing, they weld another one on top of it and extend it to the surface. So this is what I just explained. First of all, you now call them to standard height to expose them properly. When you have done that, you now patch your production casing to the surface. After patching, next one, you now weld your intermediate casing and extend it to the surface. After doing that, you now weld your production casing and extend it to the surface. After which, you now fill those intervals with cement. When you have done that, the next thing I'm going to do is that you now mobilize your rig to start your re-entry operation. And then when you now mobilize the rig, what is the first thing I'm going to do? You now drill out your cement blocks and remove the bridge blocks. When after doing that, you now run a corrosion to check the integrity of the casing. You know, some of those wells were drilling all this that the casings was corroded. So you need to check the integrity of those casings to be sure that they are still in good shape. The next one is that you now run cement bundle to, you know, because the wells were drilling those days, it's possible that those cements have corroded over time. So you need to be sure that those cements have not corroded. Otherwise, you need to have channeling behind casing. So you need to check the integrity of those cements to be sure that they are still in good shape. Next, you now run your saturation work to establish the fuel type and the contacts. And then you run a gyroscope survey if the well is created to confirm the well trajectory. You know, the deviation data they acquire those days and what we acquire over them is not the same. So you need to confirm so that you can put it into your depth map and then produce a fresh depth map for that particular program. You now take samples of PVT for commercial analysis and conduct production tests. And then when you feel that, you now complete your well. After completing your well, you install a new wellhead and a blowout preventer. After which you now pressure test the wellhead. Now, what are the benefits of this re-entry? It is less capital intensive. You are going to spend less. Instead of spending more to build fresh well, you are going to spend less to rent an existing well. And then it will lead to faster cash flow. So if it leads to faster cash flow, but you're going to start producing in a short while, it means that you will have faster cash flow to even drill your appraisal and development wells. Because you now have faster cash flow to drill your appraisal and development wells. And then it also helps you to recertify your result in your results. Because at that point in time, some of them may not have even tested the wells before they abandon it. So you are carrying continual resources of which you now need to recertify them to reserve. But before you can consider any result as reserve, you need to flow test it so that you are sure the number you are carrying. So any learning institution that you give an approach will want to know what reserve numbers are carrying, not contingent. They'll be more comfortable, to give you based on the reserves you are carrying, that you flow tested and actually fluid. Then it's a faster step to conversion of PPL to PML. There is a minimum work program that they give each of the operators when they awarded them the field. So this re-entry will help you to meet the minimum work program and quickly convert your PML, your PPL to PML. So because you will meet your minimum work program faster. Now, for you to undergo or go through this process of re-entry, there could be some challenges that one will encounter in the process. And then what are the challenges? Location of wellhead. If you're carrying wrong well coordinates, you will go to a particular place and then when you can't find wellhead, you think you'll settle below the source of it. You keep using your handheld magnetometer to look for it. You won't see any flux anomaly because your coordinates are wrong. So one other way you can use to ameliorate this problem is, those coordinates that you have initially when the well was operated to you, you can even plot them on Google Earth and see if it falls within that location where the well was drilled. You can even ask the local communities if there was previous oil and gas activities that took place in that place. They will be able to help you and say, okay, yes, that this is the spot where the oil and gas activities took place in the past. You now run a magnetic survey within that area. You see the anomaly and then begin to establish. Next one is accessibility. Sometimes it's a challenge, even drilling fresh well. Going into a bushy terrain, no access to no thoroughfare. And then you have that morbid fear of kidnap. You will be thinking of how many security will I carry while doing that initial visit to the location. Another problem is the unavailability of well reports, your drilling reports, and well reports and environment diagram. So then when they are awarded the field, they won't have this kind of report because this kind of report will help you to understand how the well was even drilled initially and then how was it abandoned. So you now know how many samples you have. So what happens is that they will now need to revert to the regulatory body, which is NUPLC, And then some cases, they will even go to regional companies operated, maybe IOC that abandoned that well to get it. So time will be passing, in all those back and forth, kind of activity to get the drilling record. Then there could be technical challenge. Like what we did recently, it's not that maybe the logging tool will fail, the tool will begin signal at surface. And then the company will now revert to their head office to bring another equipment. And when you have started operation, any day you stop operation because of one activity, it will cost you money because you are paying a daily rate for the rig, which you have already mobilized in place. So because of that, it's usually a very big challenge when your tools fail. It's going to be, you are going to be incurring costs on that. So in conclusion, there are many abandoned oil and gas wells in Niger Delta. So it's a very good idea to re-enter an existing well, because it's cheaper. Now, new operators have the responsibility to conduct their due diligence before writing on such wells. You need to know why was that well abandoned. You don't just come in and say, let me write it off. Let me drill fresh well. Because they are coming with a lean budget, and you are also a part of budget when you decide to do fresh well. So you need to do a due diligence and find out why was it abandoned. If it's very economic business, it doesn't matter, you will enter. And then re-entry and revamping of abandoned oil wells could serve as a long-handling food for new operators. The long-handling food was people enable you to get into production quickly, and then have your cash flow to even drill appraisal and development wells. And then in that process, you make your minimum work program as a management operator to even convert from PPL to PML. And then lastly, the entire process is guided by a thoroughly drafted technical well revamp program. You need to draft the well revamping program that will enable you carry out the whole process. That's our contact for comments and feedback. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. I'm already dazed, so I'm going to keep my questions to the last. For those of us that are all seated in the house, is there anybody with questions or comments for our speaker? Yeah. So maybe you can go. Yeah. Okay, good. How many? Let me see your hands up, please. For those of us, okay. And for those of us that are logged on online, please drop your question using the Q&A button. So I'll give my phone to you. Please introduce your name and affiliation before you ask your question.
Thank you very much for the presentation. It's a wonderful one. My name is Mohamed Abdul, and I am a geoscientist with servicing company here in Abuja, Degeconek. I have some few questions. One is the cost of the re-entry and the cash flow. And I think there is something I have not spotted out, that is the location. Does it have the facility for you to actually take off whatever crude is there or whatever hydrocarbon is there, right? So if you can just do more explanations on that with regards to the facilities there and also the cost of the re-entry. Is it worth it to get a rig down there without considering whether you have facilities on ground to actually uptake that crude? The second one is, are you perforating the same intervals? So for example, the well has, let's say, 3 reservoir intervals and all of them have been blocked with cement. Are you still perforating that same interval with the cement there? And also, I think I have 3, if you don't mind. And also, what is like the most common reasons for suspension by IOCs? I know you have a couple of reasons down there, but I think for a new operator, it's quite very important for someone to know what is actually the most common reasons for them. Is it mostly just the reserves? There are other reasons that one needs to really take into consideration. I think those are my questions. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. I will keep taking the questions. He will keep taking note of them. And then his MD will give us comment before we come back. Who is the next person?
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Shadrach Ilya. I'm a geoscientist with Capworld. Thank you for your presentation. It's quite informative. And mine is more of my question is more out of curiosity from the point you made about
Where's the next one? Oh, okay.
Hello. Good afternoon. My name is Christopher Akedilchukwu. I'm a geoscientist with NPR. My question is particularly going to more my concern is about the environment. And in the last part of it, you mentioned Niger Delta. And I noticed that most of the abandoned well, Niger Delta, the areas around it are not actually returned, stated back, into the original state. So I want to maybe ask the question, what could be the reason why are we to the militants are actually being used for them to use the police environment? And how can we prevent those things from happening, from them having access to it in terms of the criminals we abandoned? Thank you.
Okay, thank you. My name is from NPR Geoscientist. Thank you for the presentation. While presenting, you mentioned the reason for suspending the wells, and one of the reasons you mentioned was community issue. I think having issue making your current plan of activities, the issue of the community should be integrated as a holistic plan, probably with our CSR host committee, like even what we have here with our hosts. They are your hosts anyway. So I'm just thinking along the line that the issue of the community should be integrated in part of the plan, whatsoever we want to do, maybe in terms of CSR or taking them into the plan to even be part of it or to hold the project together with you. So I just want to maybe you should also light the community issues. Thank you, Bankole. We still have one more question. Okay.
Good afternoon. My name is Emmanuel Samson, a geoscientist from Jersey. My question is about the abandoned well in other segments apart from the Niger Delta Basin. For example, we need to know about we have some wells that have been drilled over years and we don't know why they have been abandoned and do not have anything. So if they can also extend this on to about state so that maybe the wells can begin to know what to do from that investors and investors.
Okay, we'll take a pause here. We'll go back online. We asked our chairperson for today, who happens to be the MD and CEO of Degeconek, to make comments before we come back to our guest speaker for the answers to this question that we've asked them. If you still have a question, please keep it. I will come back to you. And those online, please, I will also come back to you. So may I please have Mr. Abiodun Adesanya. He's the CEO and the MD of Degeconek. He's online. So please, sir, can we have you? You have the floor.
Hello, good morning or good afternoon, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, sir.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. And thank you, NAPI Abuja chapter, for inviting us to make this presentation. It's always an honor to respond to requests from NAPI. The topic we are having today actually has not much to do with geoscience. If you look at it directly, it's because we're in an era now where we're all integrated, the engineers, geoscientists, we are integrated in our approach and what we do because one leads to the other. The topic itself was carefully chosen to bring to knowledge the issue of abandoned wells. Abandoned in the sense that it wasn't because the resource has been depleted and therefore the field needs to be abandoned, but abandoned in the sense because we are looking at a well that has been drilled and nothing else had happened to it over time. And I believe Ekenedilichukwu had indicated to you various reasons that could be responsible for that. The critical thing is that abandonment is an economic, it could be an economic issue. Where you have economic considerations that leads you to the fact that if you continue under the economic parameters that you have, chances are that this well may not serve you, may not be profitable to you. So you then abandon the well. Of course, there could be abandonment abandoned wells due to the fact that there's nothing absolutely of any interest commercially, economically in that well. But there could also be those that didn't meet the threshold of the particular operating company that drilled the well in the first instance. So various reasons are responsible. I've been listening to the questions. I will be able to help in answering some of them. And the one even though I didn't capture all the questions, but there was one particular one that spoke about why is the well suspended and stuff like that. Suspended wells simply means that the operator is unable to continue all the way to completion at that time because certain things need to be in place. Of course, finance is one of them. Number two is you could have maybe the environment is not suitable security-wise or whatever, infrastructure-wise. Maybe you don't have anything that you will want to use. So it's usually with intent that there's a possibility that the operator could come back and work there. So this is a very important reason why some of the wells are suspended. And for suspended wells or abandoned wells, if the abandoned wells have some commerciality, if that meets the threshold of a new operator. Now, so if the ownership of that well or that block or that field changes hands to a company that believes that they can run with it, then they might need to re-enter the well for the purpose of eating early production. So again, what is fueling this kind of conversation is the recently concluded marginal field bid round, where some of these fields are being transferred to smaller companies, Nigerian companies, whose capacity to just hit the ground running by drilling fresh wells are limited. So the whole idea is that if you can re-enter the well that made the discovery that makes the field to be called a field in the first instance, then you should try to re-enter such a well. Now, the way such a well is abandoned is very, very important that you know it. So that information is absolutely important. What they did at that time is very important so that you can then determine how to re-enter. And all you are trying to do in a re-entry work is you are trying to regain access into the well bore that has been drilled before. And then where they stop the work, you can then proceed to completing the well and get it ready for production. So this is the critical aspect of this paper that I need to let you be aware of. But again, there was a question about cementing. Yes, cementing is not a problem. The drill bit is stronger than this cement, and they will crush and remove the bridge plugs, and then they can gain access. But bulk of the effort is in finding the wellhead, creating access to the well position, bringing in a rig, an hydraulic workover rig with the capacity to drill out the cement plugs and the cement and mill the bridge plugs in order to gain access into the well bore. Once you gain access into the well bore, which very often are cased, you go down to the last casing shoe, and then all the reservoirs that are behind that particular casing will be accessible. So for example, if your 9.5/8 casing and or your 7-inch liner is available in your well bore, there's nothing that stops you from drilling the cement plugs and gaining access into the reservoirs that have been secured at the back of those casings and liner. So this is the whole idea. And once you're able to do that, then you just simply perforate and then you continue the process to completion, depending on what your strategy is. And all the effort is basically to bring the well into some production. And from there, I mean, if you look at that, the economics of doing all I've explained versus drilling a fresh well as the first opportunity, given the attendant risks that could be associated with that, you want to re-enter as opposed to drill a new well where feasible and where the economics pans out and says yes, it's possible. So that's the concept behind what Ekene has presented. And they must have spoken about the different terrains and what obtains there. It's very difficult to re-enter a well that has been abandoned offshore, because when you abandon a well offshore, you don't leave the conductor pipe standing up above water. It becomes an hazard to navigation. So you have to cut it at the mud line, which is the seabed, and that's it. And before you cut it, of course, you must have cement, you must have put cement plugs all through the column of the well bore in order to secure and make sure that it doesn't become environmentally hazardous in future. So trying to re-enter such a well takes a lot of effort, because you won't see the well top when you are looking at the sea, at the Atlantic Ocean. You won't see. And definitely when you dive down, you also may not see, because the seabed may have silted up a bit and the entire top covered. And of course, with a bit of determined effort, and it must be worth the while economically, you can actually find that wellhead, and then an attempt can be made if it's economically viable. But you have to again look at the overall economics to be sure that what you are trying to secure, won't it be faster for you to just simply drill a fresh well? So these are the considerations that operators are faced with. These are the decisions that they have to take. And we are just basically highlighting what happens in that case. And the other point, the last point I want to make is that when operators abandon wells, there are two ways to do it. You could either leave the well. I think it showed a picture of some wells in the swampy environment where the well was just freely standing and there's just one pin on top of it. And that is abandoned well in the swamp. Or you can leave it standing. Most of the suspended wells are allowed to stand. In the offshore environment, you have to put navigational aids on the pipe. So you have to have a solar panel, you have to have lights that will be warning, and that position has to be charted on what they call navigation approach maps, so that vessels visiting will be aware that there's an obstacle standing there, and that obstacle we have buoy, we have a solar panel, and we have lights flashing permanently on top of it, and it has to be visited and maintained so that it doesn't become hazardous to navigation. Then for land, it's usually either you put a monument around your well to secure that location and keep it there with the conductor pipe cemented inside that monument, or you decide to crush the cellar pit, go down, excavate around the conductor pipe, and then go and cut it and then seal it up. And with that, they will just remediate the area, and over the years, 40 years, or whatever the duration is, the vegetation will have grown back. The only thing is that you see evidences of crushed cellar pits all around. That will take some effort as well to find if, again, economics makes sense to do so. So these are all the considerations. Once again, I thank NAPE Abuja, I thank Dr. Ajayi, Eunice Ajayi, the coordinator, for inviting us. And we hope we've been able to share something with you. And if you have further questions, Ekene is there to respond to it. Thank you very much. Hello.
And the question is, thank you so much for your beautiful, wonderful presentation. I want to know, what is the course of action in a situation where patent integrity checks are not possible? For example, downhole rusting, how do you overcome that? The second question is from AZ Okoro. Nice presentation, kudos. I just wanted to know if there is an existing database where one could extract information for some of the abandoned wells drilled to the basement in the Dahomey Basin. I'm interested in Remedu 1 and then Ise 1 and 2. So those are the two questions from online. Just so that you know, there are way over about 30 people online. So you're not the only people in this technical session, right? All right, over to you, sir.
Thank you very much. For the guy asked about facility, of course, before you even start, you have to first of all put some consideration about facility and cost. Now, you could look for nearest facility to tie in. Instead of building fresh processing facility, you can even look for closest production facility to tie in and then use the facility to process your crude. So you mustn't, as emergency operator, build a fresh one in that area. So once that kind of field is awarded to you, first of all, check with that area. Is there any producing field in that area that you can, part with some cost on it, and then use that facility to process instead of building a fresh one. Now, about cost of reentry, it depends on the environment. It varies from one place to another. Like when you want to reentry in swamp, where you have your casings in place, the cost will be different from when you go online and then you now say the several resource office, and then you can't even see the monument. Like if you can see the monument, you don't even to deploy magnetometer because it's already there. You see your structure, it has saved the cost of bringing equipment that you will use to do magnetic survey to get to that spot where the well was abandoned. So the cost varies from according to the environment. So there's no fixed amount of cost you can tie to it. Now, my MD has answered about the intervals that were estimated. Of course, you can separate them. If there are 3 intervals, you can actually separate them, and then you produce from 2 at a time. You can even do the one sliding slip so that when you produce from the deeper one, you slide your tubing to the shallow one and then produce from it. Someone asked about reasons for abandonment apart from economic. I know that if you have technical challenge with drilling, so that you lose your tool in the hole. Sometimes when they've lost, you don't have tried all possible means of fishing out the tools or control the drilling operations, and they keep having challenge in that particular hole. They may decide to abandon it. They just report it and then abandon it and go to fresh location. But you have to go back to drawing board to know why were you having that challenge, so that it won't occur again. Someone asked about plot on navigable objects. Google Map has a way of updating itself. If you build a new road here, before long, you see that they have already updated your Google Map. So when you're navigating, you see that it has, you already have that road updated on your Google Drive. The same thing. Right. So if those someone approach and they see that kind of light, they can even spot it in their own application. So they're able to spot it. The next time when they're coming, even before they even take off, they already know those spots because they have put it themselves. Even before it's updated in their own navigation equipment. So they can even plot it themselves in their navigation equipment to know the places of potential hazard and pollution, and then the routes they will take to avoid colliding with it. So even without looking, they already know all those points. So they plot in advance before they even start the journey. As once they plot it at first, they can plot it themselves. Now for environment, someone talks about activities, why they keep existing and mention. Well, I don't know why they keep existing, but they must have their own grounds for their own issue or worry that they want government to answer. And once government is not answering it, the issue will keep existing. Until they're able to come to a round table and think of ways of resolving some kind of issue. It's not kind of issue. It will keep your current. Someone talking about the community issue dimension that is not integrated into the program before you start. Of course, before you even start, you have to even meet the community, have like a relationship with them. But what you should know is that factors come up every day. There can even be a splinter faction of that faction. You can even have a third faction of that second faction. So it's something that people refer, which most of you that are used to activities, in Nigeria will know that factions keep spinning up every day. So even if you settle one particular factor or the community today, another factor might feel aggrieved that they didn't get dividends from settlement, and then they will come up. Or that whatever activity you've done in the community, like school, they didn't get to their own end, and they will take up arms and they will start. So you can have different factions that can spin up anytime. Another person talked about the North. They need to revamp the wells already drilled in the North. Before, as I said earlier, before you can even do the revamping operation, you need to draw your program, and then the program also read the drilling record to know what happened. Did they find a problem, or did they have any challenge when they were drilling it? And then how was it abandoned? How many stem blocks do you have in it? And what was the reason why they abandoned it? You need to understand all these things, put them in place before you can even start the abandonment program. And someone asked about if there is existing database to extract about abandoned wells. Of course, any PRC, the regulators will have it. But some of these things they may not be in public domain. The regulatory body, they have all the records of all the wells. And I'm trying to go to them, they will answer that question instantly without wasting time. Then someone asks about what will happen if the casing check integrity, casing integrity of pollution fails. Of course, you have to pull out the casing and then install fresh one. So if you run that pollution and see that the didn't fail your pollution test, you have to retrieve that casing and then install fresh one. Answer most of the questions.
Thank you. We can let you go now. One thing is for sure that you can't exhaust all the questions here. The idea for having technical sessions is to give us insights into informations that probably we don't know, or to give us deeper insight in some things that we don't know. And that will spark up ideas, will spark up discussions and bring more and more discussions into it, right? So he's not going anywhere. He's part of the entire network. And if you're not part of NAPI, this is one of the reasons why you should be part of NAPI, because in NAPI, we have loads and loads of information like that, networking that will help you in your career and even your day-to-day life, right? So please join NAPI for those of us who are not yet part of NAPI. You can't afford to miss it. We don't intend to keep you here for too long. We have a tradition in Abuja chapter. I'll call our chapter coordinator to show some sort of appreciation to our guest speaker for today. Please, welcome, Dr. Ajayi.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ali, for this awesome presentation. You will agree with me that actually come to an informative presentation. And please, please come over. So I want to appreciate you on behalf of NAPE Abuja chapter. We're presenting this to you for your contribution as a presenter at this third technical meeting. Thank you for coming.
Cameraman, make sure you get it well on. Awesome.
Thank you.
Yes, so right now we'll take our announcements. So if you give me just a second, or right here. And then over to you. Right here. Can you see my computer? Okay, good. Got it. Oh no, that's
Hello, Gwenga. Yeah. Hello.
okay. I am not a PRO. Ayo Orishana is a PRO. Is far away at nowhere. I saw Mariam here. Yeah, Mariam is our YP. Yes, I have good eyes. My eyes are not bad yet. So she's part of Abuja chapter officials. Mariam, can you wave your hand so that they will see you? All right, good. All right, quickly to run through these are some of our NAPI activities that we have in the future, right? So we're trying to give you an insight into some other programs that we have so that you get to take advantage of it and attend. This is the program we just finished. Again, thank you so much again. Thank you, Degeconek. Okay, so 2023 conference, annual conference is coming. And NAPI conference is the biggest oil and gas conference so far that I know of. And this is where you will meet the industry players. This is where you meet who is who in the oil and gas industry. So begin to plan for it. November 12th to 16th, 2023 is going to take place in Lagos. Usually that's our tradition at Eco Hotel. So please begin to send those memos for sponsorship. Begin to save. You still have time to do that so that you can be part of this event. We still welcome sponsorships, okay, for those of you that are working from companies as well. Now, this is going to be focusing on repositioning the oil and gas industry for future energy dynamics. So I'm not going to bore you up. It's all the information that you need to know also concerning this conference is on the NAPI website, all right? I'm not sure if there is still time for abstract submission. So these are the details you need to know for abstract. It has been extended. So take time and go to the website. Those of us that have done 1 or 2 research, you never can tell. People go home with cash prices. People go home with network opportunities and all that grants. So take advantage of this. The hall is ready. And if you are a business owner and you want a space to showcase your business and what you do, you can rent a booth here at a fee and be able to do that. Just like I said, NAPI conference is one of the biggest oil and gas conference in the entire Africa and possibly around the world. So you want to be part of this in whichever capacity you're looking at it. Membership. I've talked earlier about membership. If you're not part of NAPI, I really feel for you because I joined NAPI since when I was in the university. And NAPI, I got grants from NAPI. during my final year project. This is as far back as doing BSc. And after that, I've been part of NAPI till today. I have no regrets. What I have come to know in NAPI is as a result of being part of TMs. Not even the things I learned in school. What does school give to you? Just a certificate. But the experience, right here. I'm selling NAPI. Yes, I am, just in case. So for student members, just 2,000 naira. If you're a student and you don't have 2,000 naira to pay for membership, come, I will help you pay that. All right, from my own pocket. Active members, 12,000 naira. Associate member, 12,000, and corporate membership, 50,000. For those of us that are members and are not up to date on our membership dues, please, this is the only way we get to run the affairs of NAPI is through our dues. And you know how transparent we are. Nobody eats your money in NAPI. Rather, it's a place where you put in, you volunteer, you make sacrifices. NAPI NMGS meeting conference, 6th to 9th September, is going to be University of Lagos. Retooling geosciences education in Nigeria, current trends and emerging realities. The things being taken care of, and at a token. I think really took that small token. What did I do? Okay, it's background. General and special, specialist consultation, physiotherapy, antenatal, C-section, radiology, eye care, dental. Average Nigerian have an eye issue like me here. So please, this is our place. You don't want to go to the hospital and you have to pay 50,000 naira. No, but with insurance, you go there and you pay how many percent? Is it 10% or whatever charges? Presentation of NAPI 23 election candidates. Here we go. Mr. Goodluck Adebasa. We have a timeline, and then I think we're at the verge of doing the election proper now. So by the 1st of September, election commence. All right. And who are we going to be electing? Right here, John Bosco. Mr. John Bosco Uche, FNAPI. If you're in NAPI, you know him. There's a name that rings bell, okay? And he's coming out for the position of the president-elect. All right, so if you're up to date with your membership, that's one of the candidates here. And our very own Mr. Eki Bazwi FNAPI. Right, one of the achievements we have in our Abuja chapter is that we have an additional member of FNAPI, and is Mr. Ehi Bazui, right? He's a team lead, he's a geology team onshore, offshore project in Nigerian Agri Oil Company. Now we have two candidates for the position of Publicity Secretary, Mr. Olusi and Okeko, and then Dr. Ifeanyi Obi. So please update your membership so that you can be able to exercise your franchise. These are the deadlines that I talked about earlier. So voting starts for September and it ends by October the 15th. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ibrahim. Thank you for listening, everyone. We have come to the end of this technical meeting today. I want to appreciate our online participants for staying with us, and I'm sure everyone has learned something today. Our third quarter technical meeting will be coming up towards the end of October. Sorry, I think September, please. September first quarter or early October, because I want you to save the dates. We'll be communicating with you very soon. I also want to finally thank the management of Degeconek for sponsoring this meeting. Thank you, sir. It's Mr. Abuja, the CEO of Degeconek. Thank you very much. You've always been with us. And thank you for sending your senior geologist, Mr. Ekenedilichukwu, for this awesome presentation. Thank you for coming. Thank you so much. And finally, I will say thank you. So as we prepare to go for our AGM coming up on, it's between 12 to 16 November at the hotel, I want us to prepare and we'll know when we get there, we'll come back with something tangible. So thank everyone. I want to thank you everyone for coming. God bless you as you go back to your destination. And thanks for online participants too. We want to see you in October or September and also November for AGM. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you, PTDF too. Always, PTDF has been gracious to us using this venue all the time. Thank you. Please take time to network. We have a package for you. As you step out of the hall, just something to keep your enzyme busy. We're going to do a group picture too, please. Don't be in a haste. Take time. We'll do a group picture out here.
Oh, fantastic.
As usual. So let's go this way and do a group photograph, please. So photographer, you lead us to go back. Everyone please, if you could, after we take a picture, we can come back to the head as we walk out.
Thank you. I know you can hear me. Huh?
Yes, you're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tunde. God bless you. Thank you for making our work.
Always welcome.
And all our
FNAPs. Okay, recording that stuff.
Okay.